Hayden Lake, Idaho, 100 miles from the Canadian border and almost 200 feet deep in the center of the lake. A 4,000-acre lake with 40 miles of beautiful shoreline. 118 billion gallons of precious water. We love Hayden Lake, and Hayden Lake's in trouble, deep trouble.
Hayden Lake is much deeper than Lake Coeur d'Alene. That's why we've been able to ignore the serious problems in Hayden Lake until now.
Hayden Lake is being damaged. Hayden Lake is at the point where we need to reverse the damage, or Hayden Lake will no longer be the pristine water that we've always thought it to be.
118 billion gallons of water. That's a lot of deep water. It takes a lot of pollution to take over a lake like ours, but that's what's happening to Hayden Lake.
The University of Idaho first told us this in 1983. They named Hayden Lake as the top priority for immediate protective measures. Hayden Lake was the #1 priority of all of Idaho's lakes for protective measures in 1983, more than 25 years ago.
Idaho Department of Environmental Quality says that, like many lakes in northern Idaho, Hayden Lake's water quality is threatened. It is threatened by excess nutrients caused by human-related activities.
After a 7-year study, the federal government, through EPA, in 1994, placed Hayden Lake into a threatened status. What that means is that the federal government, enforcing the Clean Water Act, can impose fines for violation of the pollution controls in the amount of $32,500 per day for each violation.
We've lived on Hayden Lake since 1981, and we've always gotten our drinking water directly from Hayden Lake. We used to change our water filter once a year. Now we have to change it every other month.
About 500 homes still get their drinking water out of Hayden Lake.
When the water coming out of the faucet starts to smell like dead fish, that's when we know we have to change the water filter again. About every 2 months, and that's a lot worse than it used to be.
Hayden Lake is also a major source of drinking water for the Rafton Prairie aquifer. Water flows through the lake bottom into the aquifer, where 600,000 people get their domestic water. The pollutions and the problems in Hayden Lake affect many people in northern Idaho and eastern Washington, and it's getting worse.
Heavier and heavier runoff from the watershed areas are the main source of sediment and pollution into Hayden Lake.
Sediment from the watershed carry phosphorus and other nutrients into the lake.
These pollutants cause algae growth and remove oxygen from the water.
As the runoff flows into the lake, the sediment makes the lake shallower, and the nutrients in the runoff fertilize any lake weeds that sprout there. The more runoff, the more sediment and nutrient pollution, the less oxygen in the water, and the faster Hayden Lake gets smaller and smaller.
It's called eutrophication, and it's happening in Hayden Lake at an accelerated rate. We need to reverse this problem right now.
Hayden Lake was historically a self-sustaining cutthroat fishery. With the deterioration of the watershed, the trout fishery can't support itself without large-scale stocking.
Do you think Hayden Lake is as crystal clear and pristine as it was in 1983?
There are local, county, state, and federal agencies that are responsible for enforcing the laws that preserve the Hayden Lake watersheds. We don't need more laws to protect Hayden Lake. What Hayden Lake needs is predictable and reliable enforcement of the laws that already exist. We don't want anyone to get fined. We don't want to stop development or throttle the economy. We want to make Hayden Lake pristine again. And thanks to a boatload of experts, we have some ideas on how that can be done.
Hayden Lake is a big part of our economy around here, and also part of our quality of life and our property values, even for us who do not live directly on the lake.
What will Hayden Lake be like in 10 years if we don't do something now? Where will we get our water to drink? And what are we going to tell our children when they can't fish and swim in Hayden Lake?
Please help us.
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 So I think you please have to help us.
We all care about Hayden Lake.
We all love Hayden Lake.
We all care about Hayden Lake.
We all care about Hayden Lake.
We all care about Hayden Lake. Let's save Hayden Lake.
Let's save Hayden Lake.
Let's save Hayden Lake.
Let the public officials know that you care, that we need to save Hayden Lake.
Let's save Hayden Lake. We are the United Citizens for Responsible Growth. By working with many different experts, we have solutions and information about what you can do starting right now.
All of us can make a difference.
As individuals
And as a community.
Please contact us at 208-769-3600 or www.ucrg.org. With your help, we can save Hayden Lake, one watershed at a time. It's up to us, the citizens of North Idaho, to save Hayden Lake before it's too late.